about like this sort of size, about like that. So we're going to make 2 pieces like that, one for this side, one for that side. And also, just as another side note, they don't have to be exactly the same size. Basically, it's just to cover the majority of your eyebrows. Also, it depends from person to person. You know, it's all your own preference, you know. This is just the way I do it. You could always just do it, just do one and then put it on the one side and then leave the other eyebrow basically open. So it's all just personal preference. So if you guys want to know how to make this, it's very easy, very simple. You can check out that video here, or it'll be linked in the description below. There we go. We got this piece, and we got this piece. Obviously, that's gonna go over like such, and we can just leave a little bit of the eyebrows open, but that's basically it. So just like that. So now that we've made those pieces, we're gonna start making the other smaller scars and pieces that are gonna go on our face. So let's start. We'll take our dough, and we're just gonna take a fairly small piece, just about. Let me just see if that's. It's a little bit big, but it's okay. So let's just break that in half. Piece about so big, and we're just going to mold that into a little, almost like a fat worm shape, like so, or like a maggot shape. And you see, like that, if that's gonna go there, after I spread it out and stuff, it'll be thinner, so we don't have to worry about that too much. And obviously, I'll wait until I'll put the scar on first, then spread it so it sticks to my skin, and then I'm gonna scratch out the inner part of the scar. So there's our lip scar, and now we're gonna do a similar thing, and we're just gonna do like a straight scratch right across there. So again, we're gonna take a piece of dough, the small piece, and obviously because it's a longer scratch, we're gonna roll it into a longer worm, like so, about 2 centimeters, a little less than an inch. So you see that's gonna go up like there, and basically it's gonna go across my whole forehead. Okay, so now that we've created our side pieces here and our 2 smaller scars, we're gonna create our teeth, and we're gonna create the side part of our cheek that's open like that, the upper and the lower half. So first of all, let's create the teeth. So we want to make 3 bigger teeth and a small chunk for the top jaw, and we're going to make 4 smaller teeth and also a little chunk, like an odd chunk for the bottom jaw. So let's do that. Also, obviously, I want to make as close to my own teeth size as possible. So if I do this, I could see, okay, that's about like so. It's a little bit big, but obviously once I smooth it down and I smooth out the edges to put it onto my skin, it will be a little smaller. So I'm going to make it a tooth obviously about that size for the larger teeth, 3 of these, and then the smaller teeth I think I'll do about half that size per tooth. And also we don't have to worry about the patterns and stuff on the tooth just yet, or the teeth, because we'll draw that in after we've put them on our face. Then we'll carve that in with a little, I've got this little nail tool here with a smooth edge and a sharper edge, and we'll carve the indents of the teeth after we've put them on our face. Okay, so now we're going to make the top and bottom part of our open cheek wound. So I'm going to make, it's not going to be massive, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of dough about so big, and I'm just going to mold it in a way so we've got this big open wound here, and we've got like the piece of flesh around here. So what I want to do is I want to create a little piece of a crescent moon sort of thing like that, so it's fairly rounded, and then we can also thin that out a bit. So we can actually create, let's just take a bit of that off, and let's carve that also into a fairly longish worm, and then we're going to make a second worm about same length, except just a little thicker, because the bottom part is going to be a bigger and more gaping tear. Like so. And now the last little scar we're going to make is we're going to make a big open wound here, like a festering wound, but it's got a bunch of holes in it. So for that, all we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of dough, about so big, and we're just going to flatten it out, make it into a disc, like you see me doing here. What we're going to do is we're also going to thin out the edges, because the middle part needs to be thicker so we can poke holes in it when it's on our face, but the outer edges can be thinner like this, almost like a UFO fried egg sort of look. Okay, so now that we've made all our scar pieces, we're going to start attaching them. So first of all, we're going to start with these pieces of skin on top of our eyebrows. So you guys can either use a butter knife or your fingers to smooth out the edges, but I'll show you how to do that now. So we're going to position it on our face where we want it. I want mine about here. I can see this is actually a little bit too big, but it's okay because we'll take off the excess. Now, using my finger, as I said, you can use your finger or a butter knife or something like that. Anything with a flat edge basically, and just start pressing it to your skin like this. Just start smoothing out the edges. As you see, there will be these pieces that fall off. That's fine. Obviously, if you don't want to mess on your floor, just put a newspaper down or something. But because I've got a little plate here that I'm going to put my excess stuff in. But you're going to start spreading it out onto your skin, and you'll see it'll start blending onto your skin very nicely. Also, you can also leave some chunks here because obviously you're a zombie and you're dead and you banged up. So, you know, it's not the end of the world if you've got ugly, you know, skin and stuff. So obviously the fact that we're putting this over our eyebrows as well, the eyebrows, the roughness of our eyebrows is going to help it stick as well. So let's just do that real quick. See, look at all this excess. And this will happen with all the scars you're going to put on. There will definitely be excess, so just be prepared for that. So now we're going to do exactly the same thing with this piece, and again just keep spreading it, let the excess fall off. This one we can put right over our eyebrow. So guys, just as another side note real quick, if you guys are having trouble with the thing sticking on your face, well, just give it a chance. Obviously first mold it on, you know, let the excess fall off, all that stuff. But if you're still having trouble sticking it to your face, you can use some clear eyelash glue if you need to. Obviously just like I said, make sure it's clear and not like black or some other color, because you know, you don't want that showing. Okay, so next we're going to add our forehead scar. But what I've decided to do, instead of putting it across here, I'm going to move it up towards the center of my forehead. Just because I think there's too much stuff in one place here. You know, there's going to be, I mean, this is not going to be a scar really, it's just the jutting out of the face. But with that being said, I think it's going to be a bit too much stuff. I think there is actually fine. We're going to move it but so much up. So again, like we did the others, we're going to use a flatter tool now, the flatter end of this nail tool, and we're going to just flatten out the edges. So I'm going to just create the wound like you see me doing here. Just going to open it up a little bit like so. Run it down my face like that. Just open it up. Whoops. Oh, you see. Okay, so you see what happened now. This is exactly the problem. I wanted to try and do it with the worm like that, but yeah, okay. But I would recommend to not do what I just did. What you should do is you take two halves and then you make the long wound. So, but in any case, let's carry on. So we're just going to keep, again, we're going to smudge that in properly and make sure all the edges are in, like so. That looks pretty good. And obviously it doesn't look like much right now, but the further we go in the tutorial, you know, the further things will fall into place with these, and you know, so we go. And then I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so next thing we're gonna take our fried egg slash UFO shaped scar, and we're gonna put that on our face now. So obviously, I don't know whether my video will be flipped for you guys, but I'm doing this scar on my right hand side cheek, and then the open ripped cheek I'll put here on the left. So we're just gonna put that right over here, and again, let's take our smoothing tool here. You don't have to have as many holes as I do. You could just have 4 or 5, but I just decided to do a lot of holes because I think it'll look grosser. And we're just going to also just go into our holes again, and then just move around like that to create sort of wider gaping holes like such. There we go. Okay, cool. So this is just what we look like so far. Okay, so now just to stop with the process real quick, with these wounds, these bigger open wounds, be sure to smudge the inside as well, inward, like I am doing here. That also just helps it stick more, you know. So next, we're gonna move on to the lip cut right here, which is our short fat worm. Now we're going to take the other part, and we're just going to spread that right next to it like so. And of course, you know, if you guys don't want to do as many wounds as I'm doing, just skip the few steps, because obviously, you know, step 1, step 2, step 3 or whatever. If you don't want to do this, don't do it, skip the step. Or you don't want to do this gouge, don't do it either. So, you know, again, this is just my version of what you can do, you know. So yeah, it's, you know, customize it, do what you want. But if you guys do that and you do use this tutorial, please be sure to tag me in your photos though. I'd love to see what your versions and what your takes on this makeup are. You know, it's always fun seeing other people's takes on a certain kind of makeup, because I mean, obviously if you look on YouTube, there are tons and tons of zombie makeup tutorials, but again, this is just my version of what I can do and what I think is cool. So, you know, I'd love to see what you guys can do. Okay, so next thing, we're going to move on to the teeth. Now, so obviously the teeth are a lot smaller pieces than we've been working with so far, but we'll get through this. Alrighty, so let's do this. So again, like all the pieces, we're going to place it where we want. So if I'm smiling, let's say like this, and my my lip's been torn, it's going to be torn this way. So I'm going to put the first tooth right here. And so obviously now with the teeth, it's quite important that you place it, you know, fairly close, or as close as you can to the area, like, you know, the actual area of where your tooth would be. So just make sure that you're in the right spot. Okay, let's move it to the next tooth. Place it right next to it. Just tiny gap in between. And so obviously don't worry too much about like the excess going up here, because that'll all be covered when you put foundation and all that stuff on. So don't worry too much about that. And so obviously now the teeth shapes don't have to be perfect. This is just to mark the area and the jutting out part of where the teeth would be. Okay, so now before we move on to the cheek flesh part, I'm just going to take, I was going to put 2 smaller chunks, but I think that's a bit overkill, so I'm going to put this chunk of extra tooth just right over here, just to kind of fill in the mouth a bit and to, you know, add to the gross factor of it. So let me do that real quick. So let me just do that real quick. And obviously you can make the serrations as many as you want. You could make big chunks, small chunks. Just be careful, because obviously the more chunks you take out, the more floppy your worm's going to be. So I'm just going to, oopsie daisy, yeah, you see, like that now, my worm just broke. So it's okay. We're just going to add, let's just add this top piece first. As you can see, you're going to be very careful, because doing the cuts and stuff on the cheek flesh will affect its integrity. So as you saw now, that piece of mine broke. So just be careful when you're doing that. Okay, so let's put this last piece on right there. Okay, so now, not as essential to put, to smudge the inner part of the cheek wound now, but we can still do it in a few spots. So I'm just going to do it here, here and here, just to help it stick properly. Okay, there we go.
Beautiful.
Okay, so there we go. So now we got these parts to accentuate our face. We've got our forehead cut, we've got our lip cut, we've got our festering open wound thing here, and we got our ripped open cheek with the lips and then with the teeth. So, moving on. So we're going to go everywhere except on the inside of our mouth area, right over here. So we're going to go on the outer part of the lip as well, except on the inner part. From now on, when we add the makeup, we're also going to be going along our neck and accentuating parts of our neck and our ears. So let's do that. So if you guys prefer not to use a sponge at all, what you can just do is you could take your finger, and I just want to show you, for you guys who might not prefer to use a sponge or don't have a sponge, what you can just do is you take your finger, you take a little drop or a little bit of your mousse foundation or your liquid foundation, and we're just going to spread it. We're just going to do that, and we're just going to spread it nicely. any spots that seem like they've opened up a bit, you can just take your little tool and then we're going to just smooth that out. And same there, you see here, got that area that looks like it's accidentally poked it with the sharp end of the tube, foundation tube, so that's why there's holes in it. But any case, let's just fix all that stuff. Make that as smooth as possible so it just blends seamlessly with our skin. Just going to use a softer brush on the actual makeup extension parts because I don't want to damage them at all. And so obviously now with the powder, you guys can go over into the mouth area of the cheek wound, because we're going to paint that now, so it's not, you won't even see it. Okay, so now comes the little tricky part, because obviously we don't want to mess up any of this makeup over here, but we're going to darken, we're going to create some contours on our face. So I use the brown obviously here, which I'll add some gray to now, but now we're going to swap to the black. We're just going to go very lightly though, because we don't want to have too much contouring. So we're going to go down. It would bend over here, so we're just going to go straight down like that. We're just going to smudge it, blend it in well. Gonna add a little bit on there, just a tiny little bit, but not too much. Okay, now we're going to smudge that down so it looks like our face is contoured there. Perfect. So now we can also add a little bit of black to our brown over here to add that sort of greyish tinge. And we're just going to go up on the side of our nose like this, as I said, to make the nose more sunken in, And we're also going to take the black again, and we're going to go all the way around our eyes. We're going to go around our eyes here on the inner part or on our top lids, and we're going to create these dark lines as well around our eyes like this. And now we're also going to obviously go on the inside there and go up as well. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing now on the other side. Now what we can also do to add to the depth as well, take a brush, a little bit on. We're just going to take this, pop it down towards there, and just we're going to smudge that. So we're going to add, instead of the grey we were going to add, we can just add some black to this area here, and we just want to smudge that properly. And then we're going to take our brush again, take a little bit of black, and we're going to go all the way along here. As the idea is with this jutting out part, it's supposed to look like the skull and stuff sticking out. So that's exactly the effect we're busy creating here. This part's a little bit dark, which we can then blend back like so. This is why it's sometimes better to use the grey than the black, because obviously the grey is not as in your face as the black is, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our grease palette, and we're going to take this sort of crimson red color in one of our little makeup doohickeys, and we're just going to put a little bit under our eyes and a little bit on our eyelids to give the effect of like a very sore and like infected eye. I'm going to put a little bit more under this eye because I just want to get it sort of evenish. Okay, so now also what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little more black to the bottom side of these ridges, just to add even more depth to my eyes. So just under the ridges like so. And as you can see, my eyes are already starting to pop even more. Okay, so now we're going to take, as I said, this yellow color, and we're going to go over some of the spots that we put the brown. Not all of them though, just a little bit, or some of them. And what we're going to also do now is we're going to just add a little more yellow and brown to the ears as well. And again, make sure you blend all these colors very nicely. And we go back to our brown. A little more brown in the ear there. So first, okay, well let's go on the head wound first. I'm going to create these small lines going out of the wound as well, just to add to the gross factor. So as you can see already, that hole looks pretty deep. You know, I mean, without the red or without anything else, that looks pretty deep. So what we can also do is, because we kind of, well, not we, I kind of messed up the shading of this area here. What you can do is you can do this, and you can go down like that. You could just spread it a little bit, like so. You know, just to kind of fix up that area. Hopefully you guys are better makeup artists than I am, and you actually got it right, as opposed to just following my Google mistake here. But yeah, so there we go. So there we can smudge it just a little bit more, and then we've got a little bit more definition there. Preferably just do your line straight from the beginning, and then you won't have to correct yourself like I am. In any case, let's move on. So let's take more of our black, and we're going to go on the inside of these holes here. So just on the inside, spread it around nicely. Put a few little lines coming out. And we don't have to do too many lines on this wound, because obviously over here the holes are going to be, the lines are going to be a lot more effective. But the holes are already deep and gross as is, so we don't need to put as many lines. And now we're going to move on to our cheek wound. So what we're going to do is, we're not going to paint the teeth at all. So we're going to start here. We're going to paint right over here. We're going to paint around the teeth, between the teeth as well. And we're not going to paint the whole inner area. We're just going to paint a line around the teeth and around the inner part of the gum wound. I'll show you now. So now here we can put lines going out, not a lot, but just make, you know, just a few to add to, you know, like such. Now we're going to go around these top teeth, like here on the inside, like that, just like that, and then we're going to pop a line going out like that. And now we're going to do the same on the bottom teeth. Okay, so there we go. There's the teeth now painted. So let's move on to the next, or our last little wound, which is this little area. Okay, so what I've decided to do, this scar, as I said, it's been giving me hassles the whole time, so I'm going to take mine off now, because unfortunately I can't, it's really giving me serious problems. It's just irritating at the moment, so I'm taking it off. But for those of you who are following and doing that scar, just complete the rest of the scar exactly how I'm going to do this one, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, I'm just going to quickly add some yellows and some browns and green, like I've been doing with the rest of my face. I'll be back with you in a sec. Okay, so next we're going to focus on this mouth area for now. We're going to take this pink from my grease palette right over here, and we're just going to paint that on the inside of our mouth wound here. And remember, don't put anything on the teeth just yet, so we'll do the teeth now. Just like so. Okay, next we're going to go back to our scarlet, red, crimson color, and we're going to paint that over our pink and along the edges of our wound. We can also do this on the other wounds now as well. Pop some red here on the outside, basically where the lines are going here. Follow the black lines you've drawn and then just go over there with the red. Now add crimson to these wounds here. Now you can start fanning them out a little bit, because this is going to add to the depth. The trick is, if you're doing wounds like this, or any wound sort of wound on your face, the trick is to work from the inside out. So we're going to add extra bruising effect now, but obviously I'm just painting on the inside first, and then we'll do that later. Let's get our red, or our crimson, and go on the inside as well. Go a little bit onto the outside, follow the lines that you've made, and then you do the exact same thing for this wound. There we go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this sort of offish red color and mix it with a bit of black to create a sort of darker red, even darker than this red that we've been using. So let's quickly do that. So you see I added a blob of black, just took a very little bit of black and I mixed it in with this blob of paint. As you can see, it's already created this gross bloody color. So we're going to take this and we're going to paint on the inside of the mouth, but we're going to clump it like this. Okay, so now we're going to add, go back to this lighter red, well this red color by itself, and we're just going to repaint that on the inside of the wound over the red we've done, also in splotches like I have been doing. Okay guys, so these side things are still bothering me, so I'm going to quickly show you guys how to fix it. So we're going to take a black eyeliner pencil and we're just going to go along like this on this shaded area, or this area that should be shaded in like this, just like that until there, and we're going to smudge that down. We're also going to just do this. We're going to do that. We're just going to smudge it. Smudge it with the back of the pencil now. Don't draw too hard. Make sure it's a nice, you can find yourself a nice soft pencil to do this with. Because if you draw too hard, you're going to ruin your fake skin as well. Next we're going to do is we're going to take a little smudge here, put a little bit there, and we're just going to blend that in. We're just basically adding wrinkles and stuff on the face. Let's move on. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the teeth. So to do the teeth, we're going to use some grey and we're going to use some white. So first, let's use some white. Okay, so now we're going to take the grey, and now we're going to go over what we've done with the white. Just not a lot, just slightly, just a little bit. Give it this sort of gross, like off-white color. And then we're going to add brown as our last color to give it that sort of decayed tooth look. We're going to also add just a tiny little bit of yellow after that. So let's first add the brown. Add it basically just to the bottom of the teeth. Okay, so now, last but not least, we're going to add some yellow. Take some of the yellow, just like so. Let's start with our red. Just going to take this lighter red color right over there. Take this and we're going to dab it around our wounds, you know, just here and there, but not everywhere. And then we're going to take some of this blue. We're just going to dab that around our wounds. Next, we're going to take our purple here, this dark purple color, and then we're going to do the exact same thing. Okay, so next you guys are going to take the grey color on your grease palette again, and now we're going to create a sort of veiny effect on the forehead, on our neck, and basically all around our face. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our small brush again, we're going to dip the tip in the grey, and now we're just going to create these little squiggles, big and small, all the way on our forehead and on our neck and on our face. So let's do that. And then to make sure it doesn't look like, you know, we've just drawn it on, we're just going to blend it a little bit. What you can also do, like this one here I've put in the middle of my face, is a little bit prominent. So what I'll leave it now for now, and then I'm going to put blue over it, and then we're going to blend it, and then it'll look much better. Okay, so there we go. So now we've done our grey, we're going to finish that. Now we're going to move on to this blue color. So let's do that. So we're going to do exactly the same thing. We can also go over some of our veins that we've done already with the blue, just to accentuate them a bit more. So I'm going to do that with this one, just lightly as well. Just dab it like that, so it's not too in your face. And it's not all going to be blue, we're also going to add some purple nana as well. Put a few little minor veins underneath my eye here, but just blue. Okay, so now that we've done our blue, we're going to use this purple color here. So I'm going to take this red and mix it with some purple. I'm going to create this one long vein here. And at least, you know, now at the moment I'm just playing with it and I'm just making it my own. You guys can obviously also don't do exactly what I'm doing. Experiment with it, you know, basically just use the colors purple, blue, and grey at first, and then if you still want to, then you can still use some red and whatnot, and just experiment, you know. And so now what we can do, just a little bit, if your lips weren't pale enough in the beginning of this thing, what you could do is you could take a little bit of foundation, put on your lips, just to blend your lips in a bit more with your own skin, make them look really pale. Okay, so lastly, very lastly, we're just going to take blue and then we're going to take a little bit of this purple as well, just dab it here and there. And then, last but not least, we are going to take some fake blood. I've got this liquid fake blood. You guys can definitely use a more gelatinous or like a gooey one if you've got, because that'll definitely work better. It works better with a slower drip. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this inside the wounds, and our look will be complete. And there we go, you guys. That's how you achieve the ultimate gory zombie look on a budget. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video and you got value from it, please smash that like button down below. Possibly subscribe if you're new to the channel and you enjoy these tutorials. Click here if you'd like to see a bunch of other tutorials I've done. Click here to see one of my other videos. Click right on here to subscribe. And until next time, stay awesome. Happy Halloween.
And I'll see you in the zombie apocalypse.